Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I have a Frugal Friday tip for you, and it's all about gesso and why it can save you a lot of money in your craft room. And there are recipes online to make your own gesso, but I generally think if you're going to use something as a foundation of your artwork, it's worth, buying a decent quality gesso. So I have some Liquitex clear gesso here, and I have some Jerry's Artorama World's Greatest Gesso. And these aren't exorbitantly expensive things, and I like actually the small sample size of the gesso, of the Liquitex gesso, because I can fit a brush in it, which is really handy. And then this was the one of the bigger, the quart container, because it keeps really well, and I just really like this gesso. It's not very expensive either. So what we're going to do today, or what I'm going to share with you, is making your own pastel and colored pencil surfaces. So this surface, can you hear this? That is a primed surface. I primed all of these colored scraps of matboard with clear gesso. And I also primed these two white pieces with white gesso. And these are the unprimed counterparts. So they barely make any scratchy noise at all. So what I'm going to do is first show you the difference. So I've got the same color in unprimed and primed, and then I've got white in unprimed and primed. So let's just compare them. As you can see, there's a little bit of a a chalky finish there. You can see when it catches a light with the clear gesso. So not perfectly clear, but you can still have a toned surface that's really nice. So on the unprimed gesso, let's take a colored pencil. I mean, that's all right. That's not too bad. But look at how much more vibrant those colors are when I'm on the primed. It just grabs so much more pigment. These are nice pencils. These are Holbeins. Just so much nicer on the primed surface. Let me grab a white or a light. This is like a really pale green, actually. Unprimed. Not bad. Primed, same amount of pressure. It's just much more vibrant. So you can see it's going to hold a lot more media when you use the primed surface. Oil pastel. Unprimed, not bad. Primed, it grabs a little bit more. And a soft pastel, unprimed, primed, it just grabs a little bit more. So if you're just doing one like squiggle, it's not that big of a deal, but once you start layering up, it really does add quite a bit. And I'll just show you the white side by side. We can use these three colors as an example. So let's do, I'm going to do this on the edge because I will want to use the rest of this for something. I can keep layering up with this though. See that? I can keep on going with more color because I've got more tooth there. And that's just by putting on a very quick layer of gesso. And you can put the clear over like an underpainting. You could do an underpainting with watercolor or something, and then you could put a layer over that, so that's kind of neat. Now you'll see less grain on an unprimed surface because you don't have all the tooth to get into. So if you don't want to do a lot of layering, you would be better off with an unprimed, smoother surface. But at this point, I'm going to run into a situation where the green's not going to want to stick over the white so much or over the darker color because I filled up that smooth tooth of the mat board here. So you can get better blending, you can do more layers. It's just a really handy thing to have. So I'll show you real quick how you can prime your boards. It's very easy. With the clear gesso, I'll just do clear first because it's because then I won't have to wash my brush. You just need to have a brush like you would use for acrylics. And all you would do is just put on a thin coat. I vary my brush strokes just to give a little bit more roughness, but you just cover the board like that. Nothing to it. That's why I really like the clear method. You don't have to do much to it. Now, say you had white boards. Generally, the white gesso is cheaper because you can get like the Jerry's brand and it's pretty affordable. So all you would do to prime it would just be, again, see how nice and thick that is? you would just brush it on there. But if you have the white stuff, you may wish to tint it. I don't recommend using too much, and I would do this off on another palette. I wouldn't do it right on my canvas or right on my board, but you can use a little bit of acrylic paint. This is a new tube here. I would recommend using a darker color than what you want, and then really diluting it, because acrylic paint doesn't have that grit in it that gesso does, but it's essentially very similar. So you could take just a little drop of that. I should have picked up my white first. And then you could tint it, and then you would just cover your surface, and you would have a nice surface. Now don't dip in there with the dirty brush. That's why you'd take palette knife and you'd scoop out what you want on a palette or something, and you would you'd do it that way. But yeah, make your own surfaces for pastel. Sanded pastel paper is really expensive, and even pastel primers can be pretty expensive, but you can do it on the cheap. Just with some clear or white gesso, you'll make the perfect surface for your colored pencils and pastels and save quite a bit of money. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this Frugal Friday. Until next time, happy crafting!